This giant, terrifying sinkhole in the desert of Nevada is called Devil's Throat. Yes, there's a devil's throat, not to be confused with Devil's Hole or Devil's Nostril. What is it about all these names in Nevada of these weird places, these holes in the middle of the desert? Devil's Nostril, Devil's Throat, Devil's Hole. These names were not the original names. All of these names that are like Devil's Hole, Devil's Nostril, Devil's Throat, they all were nicknamed that by the late 1800s, early 1900s Mormon pioneers. They're early white settlers that came into the area. Basically, a bunch of white guys that were stuck together for a long time alone, riding in covered wagons together that saw this stuff out in the desert. So you got to wonder where their mind was and what they were doing in them covered wagons. They rode up on this on horseback and they're like, that there is the Devil's Hole. But to the Paiute who lived there for at least 15,000 years, probably a lot longer, they called this Coyote Hole, or they had other names for it as well. But the legend is that one day they saw a coyote down there getting a drink of water out of the aquifer, so it was called Coyote Hole. But all the white pioneers came up there and they saw this and they're like, that be the Devil's Hole. But yeah, this is the Devil's Throat. This is a giant sinkhole that appeared out in the Nevada desert in 1908. So this is you could call it more modern, but it's over 100 years old. Look up above Devil's Throat and you've got, see that Jeep up there, that vehicle? To me, sinkholes, falling in a sinkhole, my house falling into a sinkhole, being out in the desert and accidentally driving off a ledge into one of these, that is one of my fears. Just like having a sinkhole open up, isn't that absolutely terrifying? Just one day there could be a giant pocket or a chasm underneath your house or underneath the town where you live, and you would have no idea, and it could just go boom and just cave in and you'd be gone way down in this hole into the underworld. Here's where Devil's Throat is located. So across this line above my finger here, over this way, this is all Arizona. Up there, right on the border, you see Mesquite. So Mesquite, you follow I-15 up and that goes to St. George, Utah. So this is all right on the corner of Nevada over here, Arizona, and Utah up there where I live. And then you follow I-15 down and you've got Moapa Valley and Valley of Fire out here. And then this is Devil's Throat way out here. It's apparently not easy to go get to. And right up above Devil's Throat is Devil's Nostril, which is a smaller version. We'll get to that and I'll show you pictures of that too. Even on Google Earth, you can zoom in on this thing and it's like, holy crap, this thing is huge. In 1908, there was some cowboys riding out in the desert out there and some miners that were up on the mountainside, and they turned and looked down in the valley and there was this giant plume of dust and smoke shooting up in the air. So they went down there to take a look, and there was this giant sinkhole out in the desert that was 120 feet across and over 300 feet deep. It was originally smaller, but it keeps getting bigger and bigger a little bit every year. If you get up to the edge of it, this is what it kind of looks like down in there, like this giant chasm that goes in there. And up until the 1960s, there wasn't a barrier or a fence or anything. And the locals used to go out there and dare each other to go run and like jump across the cracks and the fissures that form along the edge to see if they dared run around and jump across the edge of this, which to me is crazy. So how they think this thing formed is that underneath the layers of the sandstone and the desert floor, the ancient lake beds that were all over this area thousands of years ago formed these layers of gypsum and selenite and different types of crystal underneath the ground. Sometimes they can start making formations like this, like a dome or an arch or bubble, and they can get really, really thick. So imagine like a giant one of these forming where the Devil's Throat is now underneath the ground when there used to be an ancient lake there. And now that it's all dried up, just the weight of the heavy desert floor as it got more and more dry over thousands of years, eventually the whole thing just caved in and collapsed. But most of them are just like Devil's Nostril, and you got to be careful when you're riding on your dirt bikes out in the desert because you could hit one of those and it'd be really bad. This one's only about 45 or 50 feet deep, which would still be gnarly to trip and fall down in, but it's nothing like Devil's Throat. Make sure to go watch my last video where we talked about Indian Springs and weird alien encounters and UFO sightings out at Papoose Lake out there. And I have a whole playlist on here called Ancient Mysteries, and I have a whole bunch of documentary playlists with full documentary videos over on YouTube. So make sure and follow me here and also subscribe on YouTube. I got some amazing stuff coming up where I'm traveling up near Skinwalker Ranch. So stay tuned. We're going back out into the field.